All right, one of the matchups on the Contender Series this season that I've been really excited for is going down this Tuesday night, September 1st, at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, between William Knight, who won a developmental deal last year, taking on this man, Cody Brundage. This is a good one at 205 pounds. Cody, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. You have been maybe the busiest man in the sport right now. Like so many changes have happened in your life, which we'll get into momentarily. But as we record, it's Friday afternoon. You're just a few days away from this fight happening. I feel like you've known about this matchup for a long time now, and then COVID happened and it pushed things back a few months. It's finally happening on Tuesday. How fired up are you that the day is right around the corner here?
Oh, I'm super stoked. You know me, you've kind of helped me throughout my whole career, and I like to stay active. So it was really tough being on the sidelines for going on 7 months now. I was joking with somebody like I've going into knowing about this fight. I figured out in March, and the fight was supposed to be July. Got pushed back to September with all the craziness. But up until that point, I'd fought 5 times in 10 months in my pro career, and it's been 7 months with no fight since then. So it's almost been my whole pro career with nothing. So that's kind of crazy and out of character for me, but I'm excited to get in there, man. I love to compete, and this is why we do all the hard stuff.
So you and your wife, Amanda Bobby Cooper, you guys packed up your lives, headed on over to Mountain Country in Colorado to work at Factory X with Mark Montoya and the team over there. That's a gym that just continues to grow and adding lots of UFC talent, Contender Series, etc. What led to that decision, especially since, you've been having a lot of success in your career to this point where you were?
Yeah, so I was having a lot of success, and I love my old gym. SFS gave me my start, and they gave me my base for everything, and I can't really ask more of those guys and them over there. They were like family to me, still are. But I just felt like, and I've always felt this way, is that if you're winning 9 times out of 10 in the room, if you're not facing adversity, if you're not taking your lumps in the room, you're not in the right spot, right? You can't be the biggest dog in the room. And I've said that since I was an amateur. And I just felt like I needed to go somewhere where I would get pushed and get beat and have to work really hard to catch people, and I've got that at Factory X. I'm sparring guys and training guys like Dustin Jacoby and Anthony Smith and Zach Cummins, and I'm taking my lumps, but it motivates me to see kind of level where I'm at and know like, okay, if I keep putting in the work, if I keep busting it, I can catch these guys and I can be one of the best in the world too. So that was really the main motivation. It was good for Bobby too. At the time we didn't know we were pregnant. She's getting UFC offers and like same kind of thing. She needed training partners that would push her and just prepare her to perform her best. And I felt like Factory X was the best place to do that. I had already had a relationship with Mark because we had come out here a couple years previous. Actually, I was still an amateur, and Bobby was fighting on the UFC Denver card. So I felt comfortable with the relationship. We kind of came out here a week early and did like a test run, and everything kind of was what we were looking for. And yeah, I mean, within a week, we packed up our house, got it rented out to some people, and it changed our lives a little bit.
Man, I mean, Colorado is just, I've been to Michigan once. I've been to Colorado kind of like as a stopover to go other places, but it's just a much different place than Michigan is between like the elevation, the scenery. I'm sure like the hustle and bustle factors are much different between Michigan and Colorado, but now you're at this massive gym as in part of this well-known team. What has that been like for the two of you? Just not just from the gym and the work, aspect of it, but just moving across the country and experiencing all that Colorado has to offer.
It's been hard. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's been really tough. We're both very family oriented. I was already kind of away from my family. I'm originally from South Carolina, but nobody had moved away from her family really until her. And then the day we get here, we find out we're pregnant, and it's like, wow, we're gonna have to do this away from everyone that we know and love. But I think we've got set up here pretty well, and we've really gelled well with the team and kind of found another home away from home, a family away from home. They've really taken us in with open arms and been super supportive. And it's a good environment. I don't think it's like that everywhere. I've been to other gyms and it's not necessarily everyone's close and caring about what each other are doing. But Factory X is similar to our old gym in the fact that they care about you. They want you to be successful as a person and then also as a fighter. So it's been good. It was tough at first. I think we're settling in now and getting more excited and what's to come. But yeah, it was definitely tough at first. I think anytime you got to leave what's comfortable and what you're used to, it's tough, but that's also how you make your biggest changes, your biggest strides, and evolve as people. So it's been good, but it's been hard for sure.
Wait, so you found out that you were pregnant the day you got to Colorado?
So the day we got there was actually me and Bobby's 1-year anniversary from when we got married, and then also the day we figured out we were pregnant. Yeah, so just craziness, man.
Wow. That's wild. Like that almost in a weird way, it's like the stars aligned. Like this was definitely the right place. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah, it's worked out, and we're excited. I mean, I'm super nervous. I think you're supposed to be, but yeah, I've been reading some books and watching a lot of YouTube videos trying to figure it out.
Well, here's one thing from a 7-year vet. I mean, I'll never tell you about fighting, but I can at least have the experience in the fatherhood department from this. You can watch all the videos you want and read all the books you want. It means nothing. I'm telling you, it's every experience is completely different. Like I'm sure everybody in your life has given you advice on what to do. Oh, you're not going to sleep. And they've thrown all these cliches at you, but yours is going to be your stories be completely different than anybody else that you know.
Expect the unexpected, huh?
Correct. Like I didn't sleep for 2 years. Not saying that's going to happen to you, but I watched a lot of Cheers.
Don't put that on me.
Listen, as I say this to you, you're probably gonna have a baby that sleeps through the night, like right off the bat. It's the best feeling in the world. But we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, because one of the things I find interesting about the Contender Series this year is there's a lot of Michigan representation on all of these cards. Like Kenny Cross just fought. Josh Parisian got a contract a couple weeks ago. He's got his first fight booked in the UFC in November. You and Jose Johnson are fighting on the same card. Collins fighting on September 15th. He's out there with you guys too, right?
Yeah, we all moved together.
That's so fun, man. How cool. I mean, it's like a Michigan season of the Contender Series. How cool of it is to be a part of this particular season as opposed to maybe some other ones.
Yeah, it's super cool. I think Michigan in the last couple of years, since I started fighting at least, has really done a good job of all working together, and there's not there's always rivalries in states, right? There's always these inner gym rivalries and drama and on the regional scene. It's just the way it is. It's the sport. But I think a lot of people, I've trained with Kenny and I've trained with Jose and I've trained with all these guys, and we all support each other. We're all rooting for each other. Jose called me yesterday. He's like, hey, let me know when you get to Vegas. We'll get some work in or do whatever, and it's cool to go into fights knowing that a whole state has your back, or that, even though you don't train at the same gym, and your teammates might fight each other, they still want success for you. I think that's a cool thing, and I think it's part of the reason that Michigan has been successful. It's because you take the best guys in the state, they all train together. Obviously, that's going to generate some success.
I think Jose Johnson is one of the most shocking interviews I've ever had. I don't know if you ever picked his brain about his entire career. I mean, everyone knows him for that brutal knockout he had for LFA last year, but his story, especially his amateur career, is outrageous. He had over 90 amateur fights. That guy is a wild man.
He is a wild man. It's crazy. And when you look at what's really cool about Jose is I remember the first pro MMA event that I ever went to live. It was Collins' debut, and Jose fought one of my teammates on that card. It was a super close fight, split decision, I think. And I was like, this guy's okay, but everyone had been hyping him up because of all his amateur fights. And now you see the guy and you're like, this guy's phenomenal. So just the strides that he's made. I mean, he probably had only had 4 pro fights at that time. So he's had a ton since then. He's a killer, and he keeps getting better, and it's cool to see. He's fun to watch. He's one of my favorite fighters to watch. If I see he's going to be on a show in Michigan, I'm there, because he's just super entertaining, and he's a good dude. He's cool. I get along with him, well-spoken. He's a good dude for sure.
Yeah, he is such a savage.
Yeah.
Do you know what you and Amanda are having yet? Are you having a boy or a girl? Do you know?
Baby girl.
Nice. The fighter's curse.
Yeah, everything's crazy in 2020 because we did that little sneak peek test, and they're like, oh, we're having a boy, right? It said, we're having a boy. I'm like, oh, I knew it. So I text all my friends. My dad had told me, girl. I'm like, yeah, right, having a boy. And then we go to the doctor. She's like, I think you guys are going to have a girl. We're like, well, we did this test. It says 99% accurate. She's like, nah, I'm pretty sure it's a girl. She runs the test through the doctor's office, comes back 100% girl. I'm like, a bit of humble pie on that one. But, yeah, I'm excited, man. It's going to be good.
Do you have a name picked out yet, or are you saving that one?
We do. It's Kingsley Ray. Don't go
cool.
Buddy.
I mean, like I said, I mean, there's nothing like seeing your child for the very first time. Like I I'm man up to say it. I bawled. Like I like hysterically cried when my son was
Pretty
born.
Okay, I wouldn't be surprised if I cry. And Bobby's the tough one. You know, she's the tough one in our relationship. So there might be some tears shed. I told her I was happy to have a girl because girls always got the most confidence in their dads. Always, no matter what. Like Bobby tells me to this day, she's like, if you ever mess up, my dad will kick your ass. I need that in my life, man. I need that good confidence builder. You'll never not have confidence if you have a daughter. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, it's just like a revelation. Like the thought of being a dad changed me right away, but like seeing him, it just like clicked for me in that moment, and it sort of like led to these pivotal steps in the chances that I've taken, and you've taken your chances like right off the bat. You didn't even know that she was pregnant yet when you made the decision to do that. But has your mindset changed already? Like I know you're a focused guy as it is, but do you already have like a different outlook on things?
I definitely have a different outlook. You know, there's more motivation. It's interesting because there's definitely more motivation. There's a little more pressure too. You want to this isn't the easiest life to provide for a family and things like that. You know, this is an opportunity that I have to possibly lead to a road where you can provide for your family. So that's cool. There's definitely more motivation. I'm a super motivated person already, and my goal doesn't change. You know, with the baby, I want to be in the UFC. I want to provide for my family that way. That's the route I want to take. So the goal is still the same. There is more pressure though, for sure. And people will say like, oh no, there's not, because that's what you're supposed to say. But there is. You know, I'm human. I'll tell you, there's definitely more pressure when you got a little one on the way, and you want to make sure that kid has everything. You know, my parents busted their ass their whole life to make sure that I never really went without. You know, I never had to worry about where my next meal was coming from, or if I was going to have a winter coat in the winter, or any of that stuff. And, you know, I don't want my kid to want for anything. I want to be able to give her whatever she wants and needs. And this is a way to do that. So yeah, there's definitely pressure to be successful and make it. But I think, you know, if I keep doing the things that I'm doing, it'll work out, you know.
And you can set that table Tuesday night when you take on William Knight. He's done this before, got the developmental deal last season. He's a very interesting and unique character, this guy. No doubt about that. Did you know much about William when you got the contract and saw his name?
I had watched him before because I thought maybe that was a fight that might take place. I knew he was a big prospect. I didn't know too much of him because he was at 205, and I was still debating if I was going to do many more fights at 205. So I knew a little bit about him, but not a lot. But I mean, I've watched a lot of film on him since. You know, I like that he's a shorter guy. You know, I don't plan to stay at 205. So, because the guys are just long. You know, there's 6'4", 6'5", big guys, and I'm not that body frame. I'm a body frame for 185. I make the weight pretty easy. I like that he was shorter. That was part of the reason we accepted the fight, and then also that he's a grappler. You know, anybody that's a grappler is someone that I'm down to fight always. So, yeah, I mean, he is an interesting dude. You know, I think he's a super good fighter. I think he's explosive. He's built like a tank. You know, that's the first thing people will see. He's like Hercules. And he's got the experience. You know, he's been there before. It's cool for me to be in a position where I'm the underdog, because I've never really had that. You know, I've always kind of been the favorite, and there's a different pressure with being the favorite too. So it's cool to go in, and, you know, people don't really know me that well. People know, you know, we joke, but it's funny. Like when they're announcing it, they're like, developmental deal, William Knight taking on ex-UFC fighter Amanda Bobby Cooper's husband. I'm like, that's who I am right now. You know, I'm an ex-UFC fighter Amanda Bobby Cooper's husband, and I'm okay with that until I make my name. But there's less pressure being that guy than being the guy that they're high on, that you're on the developmental deal. You've already got to win on Contender. You know, that it's all on him. You know, if he doesn't win, he loses out on everything, and I can steal all of his hype, all of his momentum. So that's a good thing for me. You know, I'm excited for that part of the fight.
Well, I'll have you know, when I wrote up the fight, I did not write that. You were Cody Brundage, all right? but this fight's interesting because you fought Eric Lozano in your last two fights. Like, he's a Michigan, for those who don't know him, he's a Michigan MMA staple, wily veteran. You finished him quick in the second go-round. It was a pretty dominant win in the first go-round, but he was able to like bring the dog out of you a little bit in the first fight, and that sort of carried over in the second because he was talking some trash and stuff. William, from like a stylistic perspective, in a way, he's a very similar fighter to Eric. Like, he wants to bring that like New England grit to these kinds of fights. Like, do you feel like the experience of fighting Eric, especially the first time, having that dog taken out of you, do you think that helps you here? Because I feel like this is a chance for you to neutralize that dog because you've experienced it before.
Yeah, for sure. I think going through, because I kind of had a little adversity in the first fight with Eric. I had finished everyone super quick and without much difficulty before, and just being able to know like, hey, I can push through any of this and make it happen was big. Obviously, you want to finish all your fights, but knowing, hey, I can go 5 rounds with a guy who's got 30 plus fights and dominate was good. But also, like, I mean, he brought the dog out, but the dog's always there. You know, I'm well spoken, and I feel like I'm a pretty classy guy for the sport. But when we get in that cage, the dog's out. You know, that's where I live, and that's where, you know, I live to compete and I live to dominate people. That's what I feel comfortable doing. That's what I enjoy doing. You know, outside the cage, you probably would never guess that. I don't try to carry myself like the baddest man in the world. I don't get into all that. But when the door locks, you know, it's go time, and it doesn't take much to bring the dog out. I do like that. I've been telling everyone, you know, I think, like you're saying, Will's a grinder, you know, and I am too. So it's just going to be a grindy fight. You know, he's a big, strong guy who likes to impose his will on people, and I'm the same way. You know, I try to physically dominate my opponents. He does the same thing. So it's going to be a clash of the same style, and it's going to be a really tough fight, man. I mean, yeah, it's even hard to explain because, you know, normally like, oh, styles make matchups. You got like a kickboxer versus a wrestler, who's going to win? Me and Will are like pretty much cut from the same cloth. We're the same kind of guy. So it's going to be who can break who, really, is what it's going to end up being. And I'm excited for that. You know, nobody's been able to really break him yet. He has a loss on his record, but I watched that fight and it was a questionable stoppage at best.
For sure.
So I know it says 7-1, but he could have very easily powered through that and won that fight. He wasn't really hurt too bad in the fight. So yeah, he's been dominating people, and so have I. So I'm excited for it.
Dana White is who he is. He's a man of emotion. Some weeks, you know, he goes on vacation and he comes back and everybody in the world gets a contract. And then other weeks, you see high-level fighters. Anthony Romero, perfect example last week.
That guy was the guy on the card. The best fighter,
I agree.
Without question. I thought it wasn't even close. And yeah, it just makes you, it does kind of worry you going into a fight knowing that it's kind of like flavor of the month a little bit. But all I know for sure and all I can control is that if you don't win, you won't get a contract. I know that. So if I just go in and win and he doesn't give me the contract, you know, at the end of the day, I'll be 6-0. I'll be 26 years old. I'll have been a pro for less than 2 years. And, you know, I'm going to get the call. So if I don't get the call on Tuesday because something was off, you know, he didn't like his lunch that day or whatever it ends up being, you know, that's okay because I'll get brought up and I'll get the call and I'll make the most of it when I do. So, you know, it's tough saying that because obviously you want the contract and whatever. But if you put so much emphasis on, well, this guy dominated and he didn't get a contract doing it this way, so I have to do it a different way, you know, you're going to end up screwing yourself a little bit. And I've seen people do it, and I really don't want to fall into that trap. That's not saying I won't. You know, I tell everybody that. Like, I say, like, I'm going to go in, cool, calm, collected, get the win, dominate. Hopefully he gives me a contract. You might see Cody Brundage go out there and do some crazy shit you've never seen in your life. Because under the lights, who knows, right? It could be crazy, but I don't plan on doing that. I'll tell you, I don't plan. That's not my plan. That's not my intent. So we'll see what happens with it.
Yeah, we're going to look back. I have a feeling we're going to look back on this interview and remember that exact statement because William's the kind of guy could bring that out of you. But, you know, how do you, I mean, the win's obviously the most important thing, but, you know, we've talked many times before and you envision these things playing out in certain ways. Before you go and talk to Laura Sanko, how do you get this thing done?
I really think, like I said, me and William are cut kind of from the same cloth. We got a super similar style, but I think one area that I think we're even almost all the way across the board. I think I have a little better wrestling just because higher level competition and I've been doing it a little longer, but nothing that's like crazy. I think the one area where I have a big advantage is jiu-jitsu. I don't think it's very close there. I think I'm a much better grappler when it hits the floor. So yeah, I think it's going to be a grindy fight, but by late second, early third, that elevated cardio is going to kick in, and I think I'll be able to take it. You know, I think I'll sub him in late second, early third, though, for sure.
Have you allowed yourself to envision the whole night in your head, like sitting in the back in the director's chair, waiting for Dana to talk, maybe critique your performance a little bit, and then hear him say the words like, Cody, get the F over here. You're in. Welcome to the UFC. Like, have you allowed yourself to envision that moment yet?
I haven't. I've been training with Anthony Smith a lot, and he's gonna be my corner for the fight. And I told him, I'm like, man, there's all this pressure. I gotta get this done. He's like, listen, you just need to envision the small moments in the fight. You need to envision the small battles, the small scrambles, and you just need to envision winning every small battle, and then you win the fight. And that's all you need to worry about. And then you can worry about the rest after that. I've envisioned some things that I've never envisioned before. I've envisioned like, okay, I go out there and I have a adrenaline dump, because let's be real, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen in this environment and this pressure situation. And so I think people go in there thinking it's going to be sunshine and roses, and then they get put in a situation where it's like, well, shit, I didn't expect this to happen. I envisioned this fight 1,000 times, and I never thought that I would have a adrenaline dump. I have good cardio. What's going on? So I've tried to envision like things that aren't necessarily great, just so if they happen, you're prepared. And here's what I did when I envisioned it. Here's how I got through it, which isn't something I've done a lot of. And then also, I'm a pretty nervous fighter always. It doesn't matter who I'm fighting. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I kind of embrace the nerves now. I think it helps me stay sharp and stuff. But this will be the first fight that Bobby's not there, and she's not in my corner. So that'll be something different to deal with. I've tried to envision like how I'm going to deal with that, because it sounds corny or whatever, but that's a big deal. She's someone that knows me better than anyone in the world. She can calm me down. She can keep me easy. So not having her there will be tough. So I've tried to work through that a little bit when I'm envisioning stuff. But I haven't envisioned the success where Dana's like, hey, you're in. I'm just hoping that I get to see it firsthand, Tuesday night.
She'll be in Vegas with you, though, just not in your corner, not in the building, right?
She'll be out there. She's going to fly out with me.
Well, she's got to chill out. She's pregnant. She's got to relax. She's probably got some friends out there, right?
Yeah, I tried to tell her. I said, hey, man, you should just relax. You don't even need to watch the fight so you don't get stressed out. I thought she's so I was like...
Well, it is. It's been a crazy year for everybody. It's been a crazy year for you guys. You've made a lot of changes, like we discussed, and another change could be adding UFC fighter to your resume, man. So I am jacked for this fight. This is one of the ones I've had circled for the whole season. But I appreciate the time as always, man. Love the blonde hair, and all the best to you in Vegas, man.
For sure. Thanks for having me, man. It's always a good time.